Welcome to the PR Resolution Podcast. Now, have you ever noticed the magic about strategy directors? When you meet a good one, you can just feel the air of genius. And what I mean by that is you can actually see them almost engaging the left and right side of their brains at the same time, and analytical and creative sides are performing equally. That's genius. And that is how I felt when I spoke to Lucy Hart, the exec strategy director at the Romans PR agency, for this interview. Now, most people know the Romans. They've been awarded Best Agency every year since 2018, and they are currently the most awarded PR firm ever. You can't win that amount of awards without amazing ideas and strategy. So I had to get the person who's involved in that onto the pod. So Lucy explains the Romans team and how they really make that magic happen for their clients. She explains the ideation process and, of course, the tools and the data that feeds a lot of the strategies. But she also talks about her personal dedication to step into the world of their many target audiences. And that is what fascinated me the most about Lucy. All too often, I find in PR that we can be quite quick to jump to the importance of influencers and their reach. But the way Lucy talks about social anthropology, you can really see why their campaigns hit the mark every time. Like, they really know what their target public want. So without further ado, let's jump to Lucy's interview so she can share more. Lucy, thank you for joining me on the PR Resolution Podcast.
Thrilled to be here. Very excited to talk.
Yes, me too. We only met recently, actually, which surprised me, but we had quite a few things in common, and now I just want to really get into it. I know. It's a bit strange, wasn't it?
Was. Yeah,
we'll get on to that.
They don't need to know.
Not all of it.
Not all of it.
Some of it, maybe a little
Between
bit.
us.
We'll see how it goes. So you're Executive Strategy Director at the Romans.
I am, yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that role and how it fits with creative, how you work with the PR execs, and a little bit about the structure would be great.
Well, the Romans is obviously incredibly well known for being an incredible creative shop. We do brilliant stuff, and we have a massive creative team. We have a really, really big group of creatives who are all excellent. And my job is to sort of be the middleman, I suppose, between the accounts team and the creatives, helping to unravel what the problem is that we get tasked by clients to solve, and putting that into a kind of simplistic form and giving it some structure, and then working with the accounts team and the creative team to solve that. It's also the way I think about it myself is I want to be the creative's hype man. Like, I consider that to be my primary job, is to help them be the best creators that they can be by getting the client, getting the team really on board with what the vision is for the client, the campaign, the project, whatever the problem-solving job we need to do, so that everyone's like really ready and really excited to see the incredible stuff that those guys do.
I've got lots of questions I want to ask about the actual process and how you come up with the creative. But before we get into the detail, and especially at the Romans, something that always fascinates me, just with anybody in PR, is how they landed up in public relations.
Oh, yeah.
What was your journey to this amazing role that you're in now?
It's really funny you say that. I am an advisory board member of a charity that helps young people make it in life. And I've got some of them coming in a few weeks' time. So this morning, I was actually talking about this very thing of this strange industry that we work in, that as soon as you're in it, you know so many people that do it and you kind of see it everywhere. But until you are in our world, you don't really know that it exists.
Definitely not on the careers board when I was at school.
No, it was hella not on the careers board when I was at school at all. So I wanted to be a journalist. I left school when I was 16 and was very much focused on trying to make some money. But I had this kind of dream of working in the media, basically, in my head. And I really loved radio. That was my favourite medium. And it actually still is. Like, I listen to the radio constantly. And now it's kind of migrated into podcasts too. Just audio is my thing personally. And I was living in Liverpool at the time. And I was literally just going out handing my CV places. And one of the places that said yes to me was a radio station. And it was a super cool radio station. It was like really in the moment, and it had like all the best DJs playing there. And we had like loads of celebrities and stuff would be coming in the door all the time. And It was such an awesome job and I couldn't believe I got it. And when I was working there, they taught me loads of the things that I was interested in. So they taught me about audio production. I helped write the news articles and the things that would be spoken about on air by the news presenters, which was exactly what I was interested in. And then I also ended up writing loads of advertising. Just
Jingles?
No, there was a lot of jingles. There was a lot. I didn't really write those, but it would be like...
We need to dig some of those out.
Yeah, it would be like for a car sales company or like local solicitors, like really the cutting edge, glamorous stuff. I can't actually remember if it was those things, but it probably was. So I did all these different roles. And then I found out that because I was working in the media, I was eligible to go and do my NCTJ, which is the National Journalism Qualification, on a day release course, because I couldn't afford to go and study properly. So I was allowed to go and do this one day a week, go to the local college to achieve this qualification. And through that, I started to meet more people within the journalism world. And then I started writing for the local newspaper in Liverpool, the Liverpool Echo's iconic newspaper. And I used to get commissioned to write other pieces as well for magazines that I would pitch to. I would be picking up the phone and it'd be like a PR person pitching a story. I was like, who even are these people? And what is this stuff that they're bringing to me? So I was like, I'd like to go and explore that. So I took 2 weeks holiday from my radio job. And then I did work experience at a local Liverpool PR agency, which was also I didn't know this at the time, but it was quite an iconic agency in the north and really well connected to all of the northern editorial staff on all of the papers because they all had people up there back in the day. And I learned absolutely loads. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, they offered me a job and it was paying me way more than I was getting paid at the radio station, which was pennies. And this, huge salary, which was absolutely tiny, criminal. I think it was probably against the law to get paid as much as I did. But I felt I was rich at that moment.
They sell you all of the perks on the side
exactly.
as well.
And all I really wanted at that moment in life was to pay my rent and to go and buy really cute outfits in St John's Market in Liverpool. If anyone's from there, they will know how legendary that place was. And so I moved into PR and I was an account person, obviously, because that's all there really was there. And I learnt a lot in that place. And then after about a year and a half, I felt it was time to come back to the south and move to London and got a job. An agency that doesn't exist anymore, like a bunch of them doesn't. And then I was there for a bit. And then my next job, which was like the seminal job that really made my career go all the places, was the one and only Frank PR, which that time was just the most exciting place to be. And shout out to everyone I worked with there.
What years were you at Frank?
I joined in 2005 and I left in...
Great days.
I left a long time later. Must have been, I think, 2012 or 2013. Wow. So I was there a really long time and made brilliant friends there. The alumni from that particular period in time have gone stratospheric and, some of the people doing the most exciting stuff in the industry. And it's just a brilliant agency and really grateful for everything that I learnt there.
Love that story. I hope you share all of that with the young people that you're going to be working with. It does feel like whatever people's passions does lead them to PR. Mine started like that with music as well. But I guess that's the way we start, and then we end up doing working with different types of clients throughout our careers.
Yeah.
How important, as a strategy director, how important is it, do you think, that one needs to relate to their target audience?
Yeah.
And how can you do that when you work with such different brands?
Oh, the thing that I always say is the number one skill in being a strategist, the way that I see it, above anything else, is empathy. I really think that's it. If you care about people and you're attuned to the lives of other people, it makes doing this job so much easier, because the role of the strategist, as I see it, is to be the audience's advocate in every brief. So when we're sitting in a room and there's the accounts team and their job is to be the guardian of the brand. So they turn up into the room as the representative on earth of the client to say, well, this is what this business is about. These are the things we need to achieve. And the creative is clearly there to be the advocate of the idea. And they have to stand by their principles and really champion what the vision is. And mine is always to be the audience. I have to embody who they are and think, is this relevant to real people? Will it connect with them? Are we showing ourselves in the places that they live their lives? And are we talking in a way that matters to them? And so that means about having really good empathy of real people and their lived experiences. And so I think that in order to be good at this job, you have to be great at imagining what life is like as other people. And if you are incapable of doing that, going and finding the answers. And in order to constantly feed this ability to sort of metamorphise, not even a word, into different people, you need to expose yourself to that as much as possible through lots of different things. Just
give us some examples. How do you do that?
I'm such a strange, lurker person. I can't help it. Everywhere I go, I'm always tuning into things that people are saying, or looking over their shoulder at the stuff they're reading on their phone. Or just often I'll find myself suddenly in a daydream, and I'll realise I've just been watching some people for many minutes longer than is appropriate. Because I guess what I'm doing is almost anthropological work, just out and about all the time. So a lot of it is just stuff that I'm absorbing constantly. And I spend a huge amount of time consuming content, all sorts of content, really, really mainstream stuff, because I need to know what is, Great Britain out there in all of the boroughs and the shires and the counties, what's going on with their lives, talking to my normal friends outside of the industry to get a sense of what life is like in their different parts of the world and the different stresses and strains that they're going through. Reading loads of fiction, I actually think it's almost underrated. I try to read books that put me into different circumstances, encourage me to think in different ways, as well as just reams of content on, I still spend loads of time on X because I think it's interesting to explore conversations and things that are being shared, new media channels as well. I am a massive fan of Reddit communities and Discord channels, just to see again, what are people genuinely saying when they don't realise they're being observed in this way. So I definitely think of myself as a researcher all the time on the human condition, what's mattering to people.
Has there been any clients or example projects that you can think back to that has been, you've really related to an audience that's nothing like you, and it's worked well? You've just learnt about this whole new set of people that was a real surprise and a learning process for you.
Yeah, well, there's definitely examples of when I've realised that I am out of touch and I need to get in touch. Okay. So, for instance, working with different organisations to put together groups of young people from underrepresented and underprivileged communities, where I've been set a task to try and find a way to connect with this audience, and I know I'm going to make some assumptions that are probably going to be inaccurate. And so working with research partners to put together those groups and meet people face to face. I'm a really big fan of primary research and trying to get together cohorts of audiences and ask them questions, as well as kind of, being cognizant of the gap that there is often in research between what people say and what they actually do. But at least you need to hear people say it for themselves. Equally, though, that has spanned into less sort of heavyweight areas, even with the bartender community, for instance. I'm actually really interested in that group because they behave like a subculture. There's lots of things that they do that are different to the mainstream because they live in a different time zone, literally, to the rest of us. And it's a very connected community. And trying to go and talk to them in their work environment and then watch them at work and just see, for instance, how they interact with customers and things like that. So even and those are fun projects as well because you get to go out late at night. So
I bet they get to know about all sorts of different types of people as well.
Yeah, it's true. Those are definitely things that I've done to try and explore a different group when I feel as if I'm blind to it, or there's the chance that I will make some assumptions that will be incorrect and therefore the work will suffer as a result of it.
Yeah. So primary research, really important. What about big data? How does that fit into the planning and the strategy?
Yes, we use it. And there are obviously a number of tools, and I'm sure there's lots of people listening who have subscriptions to those. And I definitely, it can help you validate some points of view or give you some broad brushstroke focus areas, for instance. It's not my favourite thing. One of the things I think is a pain about big data is it's very biased as well. It's hard to see groups of people in big data. You really need to kind of chop away at it to get a vision of what's actually going on in lots of different types of people's lives, because it gives you these amorphous bits of information, basically, whereas many of the briefs and projects that we're working on are not just talking about these massive, big, general population groups.
Yeah.
And you often will find something more interesting when you explore different avenues into big data. So I often will sort of begin the process there in the big numbers, and then I'll try and cut away at stuff using the programs that are available to us to come up with something that feels more true to a particular subgroup. But then I'll add in primary research where I can in order to have something that feels more insight rich. I definitely don't personally, again, it's, I think all practitioners come to this in slightly different ways. I like to connect with stuff. I'm really interested in people. So being able to be more face-to-face with individuals or, ask more nuanced questions will help me uncover something that feels more revelatory to solve the problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you feel that you need data to sell the idea into clients?
I feel like there is a bit of an over-reliance on data, to be honest. It's kind of irritating me a little bit. I think a lot of the times, particularly the marketing world we inhabit right now, there's a lot of focus on performance, and it can make people quite afraid to make creative leaps. And there's a lot of desire to be reassured by data that it's the right thing to do. And that annoyingly isn't always that easy for us to produce as a channel. We are not as prescriptive as that. We don't have an asset to go and put into system one testing to see if people like it. We need to put it out into the world with a bit of guts and creative bravery to back that all of our years of experience collectively know that this idea will be an idea that will connect with people.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of an over-reliance on data to support everything, which ends up chopping away at an idea. And that is sad.
Yeah. I've remember agency days and that happening. What does success look like to the Romans, and how much, especially when you've worked so hard on creating the perfect idea and strategy, what does success look like once it's handed over to the accounts team?
I mean, it depends. For me, it's so vital that we spend a lot of time at the beginning of a programme being clear on why we're doing it in the first instance. And sometimes that still remains. We just want loads of people talking about it. We just want lots of noise. But nowadays, briefs tend to have an element of commerciality involved in them, that we want lots of people to know about this because we are flagging with a particular audience and we need to see an uplift in that, because this product that we're bringing to market is our silver bullet for the category and we want lots of people purchasing it. There'll be some kind of metric which is more vital than just the coverage.
And you feel like that's changed recently, and you've seen that more recently?
Yeah, over recent years. It's not an incredibly new thing.
It's not just raise awareness anymore.
No, although I think our channel is so fantastic at that, and awareness is such an important thing to generate for a brand or a product. It enables the rest of the marketing function to kind of sweep in and take all of that noise and all the shareability and talkability that's happening and push people further down into conversion. It's so important, and we are amazing at doing that, and the best channel at doing that. So, I think we should stand loud and proud in terms of what we're really, really good at, better than anybody else at, in fact, and work with our colleagues in order to help push people down the funnel. So yes, there's that, but we want to be able to help make these commercial metrics happen so that us and our clients, our comms clients, can be really proud of the impact we're making on those bigger business objectives. We think PR should be really upstream in those business decisions and sitting at the top table, deciding how businesses get famous and loved and cared about, and therefore helping do that through our metrics and proving the work impacted it will help us all sit there together.
This podcast is brought to you by Coverage Book, the tool that creates beautifully designed reports with credible metrics you can be proud of. Head to coveragebook.com for your free trial.
Is this the analysis of different campaigns? Does it tend to change?
Totally. It's not even every client, it's every brief. It has a different goal. So I always sit down with the account team to be really clear, like, why are we doing this? What are the objectives? Because that will define the brief that we give to creative. If we really need to drive this particular behaviour in the audience, then an idea needs to be geared towards doing that. It's not just, a call to action at the end of a press release. It's like the whole reason for the idea existing is made to create this behaviour.
I've seen some recent uses of AI, especially with insights and idea generation and, of course, measurement recently. How does the Romans use AI?
We use AI across the board, from efficiencies from an account running perspective, which is excellent. You know, we want more of our teams doing the work that they love, not just filling in spreadsheets. So AI is really helpful for things like that. Our creative team use it. Certainly our design team do, particularly in terms of making assets. You know, we're making a lot of content across our social clients. We're making some amazing design assets to bring to life ideas that we're trying to put into the minds of clients and kind of show them how something might look. And AI is really helpful in doing that. And we have an amazing design team. We have a really big design department, being able to visualize all of these thoughts and concepts we have. So it's an incredibly helpful department for our creative team. And then I clearly use AI as well for research. It's like having a lovely little research helper that's able to digest like big papers for me really quickly. So I will use it to shortcut a lot of the desk research process, for sure. And, you know, the more of that, the better. Like I was saying, you're trying to disseminate a lot of information, get under the skin of a brief really quickly, maybe in a category that you have limited knowledge in. And it's a great way to be able to digest a lot fast.
So it sounds like that each brief that comes through, each project, the process can be quite different. But is there sort of steps that you do tend to follow, and can you talk us through them?
Yeah, we're really good actually at making sure that everybody's doing the thing required in order to get us to this final big reveal for the presentation or the client brief solving. So we'll get a brief and decide who are the best players to participate in that based on people who've worked in that area before, personal interest, what we feel like the big solve might be in case someone's got like a personal passion outside of work that will be relevant to it. And then we get all the key players together and we just start the process of examining what's really interesting about this, what's worth exploring. Then it'll come over to me. So I always am like point A of the response. And me and my team will decide what we think is the right approach we need to take to uncover more about the audience and find those amazing insights that our creative team need. And it will probably begin in a desk research way where we'll just kind of look at the landscape of whatever the challenge is and think about the broad themes that are interesting. And then it's right into the audience. And like I said, I think strategy's job is to be on the side of the audience, the guardian of them. So the biggest amount of time is spent exploring what's going on in their world. And so that'll be this mixture of anthropological and ethnographic stuff all coming together, and a mixture of digital and real. So a little bit of going and seeing what real people are doing, might be snooping down a shopping aisle and seeing how people are putting things into their basket. It might be putting together a group that aligns with our audience.
And is that the whole team or just you?
It'll be a mixture. Sometimes I'm really excited and I just want to do the whole thing myself. And I'm like, this is me. This is speaking to me.
Different people might spot different things or miss different things as well.
Well, we bring stuff back. So everyone will bring stuff back and there'll be a walkthrough of what was discovered. So for instance, I've just been working on something in the drinks industry and it's crossed different territories. And the Romans has offices in different markets. So a bunch of our teams in different markets have all been helping go out on the ground, talk to people against the target demographic that we've been talking about and in some of the environments that I've told them, like, this feels like it could be exciting. Will you go and explore it for us? Brought stuff back and then we all feed it back together. And people would build on the insights and say, oh, I didn't write this down in my deck, but you've just said that and I saw that too. And then we're like, well, that's really interesting. If we're seeing it in two different countries, clearly that's two different, validating a pattern of behaviour. That feels like an area for us to go and explore.
On a really practical level, when you are working with different markets, is there some kind of like online whiteboard or something? How are you sharing these insights?
People do love a Miro board.
Yeah.
I am so bad at this stuff. And anyone who works for me is like, I can't even get the laptop to share on a big screen. I'm absolutely awful. Like, for some reason, I'm really good on
Do you have your own whiteboards?
It's a piece of paper. It's an A4 piece of paper. I draw everything. I'm into drawing stuff and I'll like do little diagrams and then just show people like this is the thing, and they're like, okay, if you
all of my notepads don't have lines.
Yeah, for good reason. Yeah. But there's often like some kind of co-working way of sharing information.
Yeah.
But I do just like talking to people.
Yeah.
I really think that's the most important bit, because like I was saying, like little nuances come out of conversation that only happen when you talk, not when you just read somebody's documents. So something like that's really helpful to gather information. And then we may look to see those patterns, for instance, and then wish to validate them. So a way that we might validate is either looking from a desk research point of view that maybe this has been explored and we can find a piece of research that supports it, or go and commission our own quant work to get under the skin of this particular issue. And I really like doing that too. Again, so you can say to a client, you might not have heard that people are doing this. We did from these sources. And we thought, is everybody doing this? And we went and checked, and yes, they are. So that you're using data to support a hypothesis, but you might have found that in a much more naturalistic way.
Yeah. Have you found that some of this research has ever fed into other areas of your client's business, into like beyond public relations?
Oh, absolutely.
It sounds like it could. Like
this
feedback to the product's needs.
Yeah, this is the thing that happens with, having a strategist involved in a business, is that you are looking at the business, and then comms is your method of communicating something. So inevitably there's an opinion that you form about the audience or how they're existing in the world that's really helpful to other places. And, often we're really fortunate. We, again, like I was saying about sitting upstream, we're involved in business choices, not just comms choices that the client makes.
You mentioned earlier about other areas of marketing really sort of jumping on the awareness that has been driven by you guys and PR. So does that mean that you do work with other areas of marketing within your clients?
Yeah, we do. And we'll work with other agencies that might be supporting other places, have really good dialogue with them. And, we become like a really tight agency team, allowed to operate in an autonomous fashion and come back to the client, rather than sometimes your client is like the babysitter of the agencies. And that's not always the case for us when we're delivering stuff day to day with other agencies.
Do you ever do sort of big measurement projects with those other areas of marketing, or do you just stay within the PR achieve this?
Yes, we do. We feed into general brand health tracking and reporting. I like it though when we have our own little mini substream that comms is more in charge of, particularly when there's a client that all of the marketing functions are live at the same time, because we can't always extrapolate what did we influence when. Obviously we can in some aspects, and particular tracking links and things like that. But it's great when we can also have our own side project of just measuring the work we do.
Yeah. What would be a dream client for you?
I don't really have professionally a dream client. I just like clients that are brilliant clients to work with, that they are really open and that they are up for big ideas, and they want you to be in the weeds of their business, and they want you to open all the other doors within their organization and meet people and be involved and have access to insight teams, and they love it as much as we do. Those are the dream clients, and they can come from any sector, and I've worked in pretty much every sector there is, and those clients, those people are the people that you learn a lot from and you have a great time working with. On a personal level, because I am a fitness queen, I
mean, we did just see your guns before we started recording.
Massive.
Feel free to look at that.
I'm shy.
If you're listening to this podcast, you need to check out the video.
Because I absolutely love the power of exercise, I personally would love working with more clients in that space.
Have you worked with?
A little bit over the years. I mean, definitely worked with lots of clients that are headline sponsors of big sport properties and stuff. So I've had the opportunity working with athletes. But I would love to work with like some wearable tech company or one of the fitness brands that I actually wear and like working with. Just on like a personal
gym basis. You'll be the target audience.
I am the target audience.
We put it out there now.
Come to me, people. Anybody, come to me.
Well, hopefully it should happen. Now you've said it.
I've said it. I've manifested it.
Thank you so much for joining me today,
Oh, no
Lucy. I
worries.
could carry on talking all day. And in fact, I should just share, because I think I said it on the little teaser, we did have lots in common, but we actually met when we were at the PR Moment event.
did, yeah.
And we realised that there wasn't many other people in the room who was as excited that we were on the Bagleys.
I know.
The old club Bagleys, just in case anybody doesn't know.
I think loads of people have no
on that-
idea.
Yeah, we were at the same location and we were so excited about it.
We were at an event.
Not many people knew what we were talking about.
Exactly. We were at an event at a part of King's Cross that back in the day was this like mecca for anybody who liked drum and bass music.
Yeah.
And now it's like beautiful and clean, but back in the day it was filthy.
Yeah.
And, you know, my memories of it are very hazy.
Yes.
But it was a glorious time. A glorious time.
It was a glorious time. And now there's PR events there.
Yeah,
and many
exactly.
offices. Very different things going on.
Spruced up in a different
No,
way.
it was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you so much,
You're
Lucy.
welcome.
You best go back to the Romans
Yep.
and go and celebrate some of those awards.
That's right.
And generate some more.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Lucy.